Here we go again. The Wise Man on the Corner series. Rodney Rhodes kicking it with V12. We're going to kick out the Wise Man family. Here it is. Listen, understand, appreciate, think about. One hot day on the city's east side, near Frith and Sexton, a troubled young man by the name of Mark Carbreath just happened to cross the path of a wiser older man named Buddy Green. Buddy Green was sitting on a crate right outside of Prince Burns' wine store. Tell me, old-timer, why can't we just walk away from these tired women? Well, you can, young man, but you're going to walk into another, then another. And the next thing you'll know, you'll be tired too. So love the one you're with, and maybe she'll love your tired butt. He laughs. But you're right though, they're all basically the same. Every day after work, when I get home, I'm hit with a barrage of do this and do that. Why don't you spend time with the kids? The grass needs cutting. Don't smoke in the house. You know you drink entirely too much beer. Yada yada yada. Damn. I might as well stay at work, where at least I get paid to get harassed. Yeah, young man, she sounds like a real pest. But if you think about it, it could be worse. When I was your age, the exact same thing happened to me. And I felt just like you. Like I was being pestered. But let me tell you, you will miss the hell out of it when it's gone and you don't have it anymore. I know, my wife and kids up and left me. And man, let me tell you, the so-called nagging isn't nearly as bad as coming home to an empty house. Your woman staying on you just shows you that she loves and cares for you. I remember once an old man told me a story. Wait a minute, do I have time to tell you this story? Yeah, I got time. Here, young fella, take this extra crate. Take a load off your feet and let me tell you this story about our people and what they've been going through. You see, then your problem is nothing to get bent out of shape about. Mustafa was a young king in Africa. One day while taking a stroll through the brush, all of a sudden several men jumped him. He had been captured by slave traders. They shackled him, put him on a ship with several hundred slaves, and shipped him across the great ocean to America. After what seemed to be an eternity at sea, the ship finally arrived in Virginia, and along with all the other slaves who had survived, they were auctioned off to the highest bidder. Mustafa had never been more humiliated. They checked his teeth, the crack of his butt, his hands, feet, and in fact, that he had a physical, chiseled body like bronze, put everybody in awe. The auctioneer yelled at Mustafa, "Turn your big black ass around, nigga." But Mustafa didn't understand. The auctioneer then struck him with that thick whip. The immediate pain caused Mustafa to wince. And with the second strike of the whip, Mustafa grabbed it and snatched it out of the auctioneer's hand. Mustafa quickly returned the favor right upside the head of the auctioneer. He fell down in complete agony. Every white person in range made a mad dash to get out of his way. Mustafa was now cracking the whip at nearly everyone who got close. The auctioneer, who had now gotten up and out the way, ran over to his horse and reached into his saddlebag. His hands emerged from the saddlebag with a revolver. He began to make his way back over towards Mustafa. As the auctioneer slowly raised the pistol towards Mustafa, all of a sudden Mustafa dropped to the ground in a heap. A beautiful little black woman was standing over him with a piece of wood in her hand. She unknowingly just had saved Mustafa's life. Mustafa was chained to a tree and whipped unmercifully, stopping just short of killing him. Mustafa and the pretty little black woman were both sold to Jake Johnston, one of the big landowners in the area, for $300. The auctioneer probably would have got more money, but Mustafa had been nearly left for dead. Ironically, 20 years later, Mustafa has 3 children now, with a beautiful little black woman who saved his life years earlier. Her name is Candace. She is beautiful, caramel-colored little woman with green eyes. To that union, one of the kids' name was Jewel, a brown-skinned lad who was built just like his father, masculine. And another named Sarah Ann, built much like her mom, even with green eyes, and she sang like an angel. There was another daughter by Master Jake, named Star. Mustafa loved her. She was just like his very own, although he knew she wasn't his child. Even though Mustafa had now been in this land for more than 20 years, he still yearned to walk through the brush freely, back in his native land. Realistically, he could only wonder. His family was his world. His kids were his pride and joy. Candace was his strength. That vigor that his family gave him made him a tireless worker. He'll be ready to plow when the mule was ready to quit, was the local saying. And believe you me, Master Jake knew for a fact that he made quite the steal when he purchased Mustafa. But he hadn't dreamed Mustafa was going to be this good. For that reason, Master Jake made sure his foreman kept a keen eye on Mustafa. Still, after all these years, afraid Mustafa would run away. "I got to go check on my fruit," Master Jake would say, referring to Candace and the other slave women, to satisfy his urges, and he would take their body whenever he felt like it. This is probably the reason Mustafa worked so hard. Beat that mule harder than Master would beat any of his slaves, to take away from the pain and the thinking that Candace was being harassed. Only at sunset would Mustafa and his family be allowed to actually come together as a whole. But even though it would be great times for a brief second, there was no guarantee that the family would be happy or suddenly get a rude interruption by Master Jake's urges. What must seem like every night to Mustafa, Master Jake would come to the house a couple times a week, usually drunk, and always there for Candace. There have been several occasions where Mustafa just wanted to go outside and put an end to this nonsense. One night in particular, a drunk Master Jake showed up looking for Candace. He was standing outside yelling, "Candace, come on out!" Mustafa had enough. Candace tried to stop